Hello. So, welcome to this session. First of all, I would like to say that this is a reading session in which we will read one of the passages from old cat mocks. And for the ones who are, a little bit distracted by these glasses, I would like to say that, I'm not wearing this as a style quotient. I have viral conjunctivitis. For that, I'm using these shades. So now let's directly jump into the passage. The passage typically has 4 questions, and this is an interesting passage, a little lengthy, so don't worry. Just read it with me. If you want to attempt the passage questions, so you can do that by pausing. So I'll do it by, the first para itself. How would one search for knowledge? A very interesting question. The things that which he knows requires no search, for he already knows. The things which he does not know, he does not know what he is going to search for. This is Meno's paradox, also called as sophistic paradox. All right. Now, if you realize the first statement, the first word, the first line of the first para gives you a statement related to this entire idea of Meno's paradox or sophistic paradox. At the same time, it is also giving you an understanding that this passage is going to be argumentative. Now, whenever I say argumentative, which means I have thrown an idea at you, and then at the same time, I'm also trying to decipher what I can get out of that. Okay. Sophistic paradox. In Meno, Plato eliminates the paradox by developing his theory of recollection through Socrates. So, Plato is the one who eliminates the paradox. And how does he do that? By recollection through Socrates. A contradiction is always an statement, false statement. Okay. For example, if P is any statement, then P and the negation of P is a contradiction. A contradiction cannot be made true. A paradox, however, is a set of statements that leads one to a contradiction. So a paradox misleads us. Now, at this point, I want you to just read them as it is. You don't have to make a lot of sense. You don't really need to understand a lot of things, but pay attention to the words contradiction and paradox. Okay, because if you ever have to come back to the passage, you'll require these words. Now let's go to the next passage. The sophistic paradox tells us that we have no way to acquire knowledge. However, the sophistic paradox must be an illusion since we do acquire knowledge. So they give you an idea, then give you the negation. Isn't this a contradiction? And a contradiction basically misleads us. So I'm just trying to decipher the ideas. It is reasonable then to look for a problem in the exposition of the paradox. Plato does the investigation and he finds a way out of the problem. So Plato finds a way out of the problem. What is the problem? The problem is that we have no way to acquire knowledge because of the sophistic paradox, right? Now, Socrates explains that human soul is immortal and has been born many times. This is the idea that Socrates gives. The soul has seen everything that there is to be seen, and there is nothing that cannot be learned. Therefore, it is not absurd to believe that it is possible for the soul to recollect things that it already knows from past experiences, what men call learning. Socrates calls recollection. All right. So, this is an interesting thing. What we men are calling learning, Socrates calls recollection. But we have no evidence for soul's immortality, etc. We have no considerable evidence on the things, so Plato's theory is unfounded. However, his theory, the conclusion of his theory has interesting implications. We shall see. Okay. In Meno, Socrates presents a geometrical problem after having Meno's attendant agree on the definition of a square. It is understood that the problem is to find a square with twice the size of the first. Socrates initiates a series of suggestions followed by questions that induces the boy to into concluding a false statement, then into correction, and finally into a correct solution. Since the boy is only suggested to question and induced, Socrates conclude that the boy had already had the knowledge needed to solve the problem and has only recollected it. Socrates' experiment with Meno's attendants is an evidence of the existence of the possibility of learning. It proves something. As Sharples would put it, whatever Plato's plan was, he would be able to successfully eliminate the paradox if he could provide one example in which knowledge is acquired. If learning is possible, then the sophistic paradox poses an illusory impossibility. So if you read this, this becomes a little too dense by the end. This is it. Now we will conclude it. Plato's emphasis is on the existence of the method of recollection. He is not even concerned with how to apply the method. If he were, we would see a lot more arguments that confirm that Meno's attendant really learned what he learned. And we would also see the examples that illustrates the method, but we don't. So Plato is not concerned with these. So it is said that his emphasis is on the existence of the method of recollection and not considering, or he's not consider how this recollection method is applied. Typically, this is what they are saying. Plato is mainly concerned with the fact that boy saw the result by himself, that he acquired the knowledge by himself. Socrates shows him the way and he is able to see with his own mind. Basically, Socrates shows A and B, and the boy is able to confirm in his brain that there is something that tells him if A, then B, and therefore he draws an imaginary arrow. He will have more to say about this later. All right. So this is a pretty densely packed article, and there are a few questions. Now let's see if we can answer the questions purely based on the comprehension that we have able to garner. So the first one says, what is the primary purpose of this passage? To compare Socrates and Plato's observation from experiment on Meno's attendant could be, I'll keep it for the time being, to prove the fallacy inherent in sophistic paradox. I mean, is it just the passage is not entirely to prove a fallacy that is inherent in sophistic paradox, but I mean, we'll keep this also for the time being. To explain the basis for and critically analyze Plato's theory of recollection. Plato's theory of, no. So not typically critically analyzing his theory. We are not analyzing anything. To discuss the paradox that exists in man's search for knowledge. Well, between A and D, I'm a little confused. So maybe at the point man's search for knowledge is too vague goes out to prove the fallacy inherent in sophistic paradox. Okay, I'll go with A. I'll come back to this question if I have the time. Which one of these is mentioned in as Plato's main concern? The implication of a theory developed by him, proving Socrates' view on methods of recollection, the immortality of souls and axiom of, so this is not something that he concerned himself. It is actually given. So it is written that if you go back to the last para itself, you'll realize so Plato's emphasis is on the existence of the methods of recollection. He's not concerned how to apply the method. He's just happy that the method exists. Okay. So soul and anything else of that sort is out of the picture. So let me take a different color. So let me use this one. Proving Socrates' view, proving he's not proving anything goes out. Existence of a theory developed by him goes out. The implication of a theory developed by him. Okay, is this even sounding? Proving Socrates' views on the methods of recollection. So we are not proving any views. We're just happy that there are methods. How to apply them, we're not really concerning ourselves with it. All right. Sure. Okay. So at this point, I can also say that, B is also a good competitor. So between A and B, I have this thing. The implication of a theory of it. Okay. So if you look here, he's not concerned with how to apply the method. His emphasis is on the existence of the method of recollection. Okay. The existence of a theory developed by him. So I can say B is a good contender. So B can be the answer as well. Okay, A implication, no, he may not be that much interested in it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Which one of the following can be inferred about Plato's theory of recollection? Okay, I'll have to go back. Plato is not concerned with these. Plato is mainly concerned with the fact that the boy saw the result by himself, that he acquired that knowledge by himself. Socrates shows him the way and he is able to see it with his own mind. Socrates shows A and B, and the boy is able to confirm in his brain that there is something that tells him if A then B, and he draws the imaginary arrow from A to B. We will have more to say about this later. Okay. Okay. All right, let's read the options. The options are: the human soul is immortal. Can this be inferred from Plato's theory of recollection? Can you infer that the human soul is immortal? No. Human soul reincarnates, recollects truth. Could be the one that it recollects truth, has seen everything there is to be seen. So one thing that I know for a fact that this was his idea, the recollection. Okay. It was Plato, or rather Socrates, who said that, the human soul has seen everything that there is to be seen. So, but I will have to go back to the passage because I need a exact statement that says that. Yeah so it was Socrates that says that human soul is immortal and has seen many things. Okay, so if the human soul is immortal, which also means that it has seen this passage also. So I can say that with that, C could be my answer. The author claims that sophistic paradox is an illusion. Why does the author claim that sophistic paradox is an illusion? It is because, the statement and the negation of the statement cannot together make sense. Okay, but let's go back because again, this is a bit complicated. Okay. The paradox tells us that we have no way to acquire knowledge. However, this paradox must be an illusion since we do acquire knowledge. It is okay. So we cannot no way to acquire knowledge. And why is it that we cannot acquire knowledge? Because the things which we know requires no search, and the things which we do not know does not know what he's going to search for. This is the sophistic paradox, and this paradox is basically telling you that you cannot acquire, there is no way to acquire knowledge, because the things that you know, and the things that you don't know, there is no way that you can know them. So yeah, and Plato eliminates the paradox by developing the theory of recollection through Socrates. uh, Contradiction is an always false statement. If P is any statement, then P and the negation of P is a contradiction. That is exactly what I also said. So let's go back and see. Why does the author claim that sophistic paradox is an illusion? Let's look at the options. The first one says that reincarnation makes it possible for the soul to have a recollection of truth before. Makes it possible for the soul to have a recollection of the truth before birth. Okay, wow. And that is the reason why the author claimed that sophistic paradox is an illusion. No, Plato is unable to prove an example in which learning is acquired. Learning is possible and knowledge can be acquired is the reason why is an illusion. This is what Plato said, that learning is possible and knowledge can be acquired, and it can be acquired through recollection, and that is why sophistic paradox is an illusion. Plato is unable to provide an example in which learning is acquired. Plato is unable. He is actually able. So that entire student, rather, Mino's attendant theory, to B. Okay, so this goes out. Socrates claimed that learning is not acquired, yet his experiment proves otherwise. Socrates is not claiming anything. Okay, Socrates is only saying that soul is immortal. So goes out. So best possible case is C. All right, that's it. Thank you.